What's up, guys? I broke a bunch of stuff at LS Fest, and this weekend I gotta fix it all. I already signed up for another event next weekend, and there's so much to do. There was so much damage from that little wall tap, and I fixed a lot of it in the trailer, but now I gotta fix the rest of it. We found a bunch of problems at LS Fest, so I gotta fix those. And today's the day we gotta get the car ready for next weekend, so we're gonna start doing them. Thanks to Davey Peoples over at BC Racing. We got new DS struts for the front, new springs for the front, new spring rate. We're gonna try a little bit more spring rate in the front and a little bit longer travel. So yeah, Davey reached out and got me all set up in the front so that hopefully this type of stuff doesn't happen again. And we're actually gonna go down on the spring rate in the back. So we're simultaneously gripping up the front and the back a little bit. So yeah, let's get this road on the show and get some of this work banged out, because seriously, I gotta be driving next weekend, and today's like the only day I have to do this. Here's some of the stuff we broke. Bent lower mount. Bent coilover. Bent wise fab arm. Broke these things. And broken subframe. So this is the corner that was hit. Broke a wheel, destroyed a tire. But now we got all new stuff. New inner tie rod, new control arm, new coilover on this side, but this one's different from this side now, so we got to replace this side. And yeah, that's the first thing we're going to do, is replace that side with a new coilover so that it matches. And we got to replace this alternator with my new rebuilt alternator with a bigger pulley on it, because we actually overspun this alternator at 8,600 RPM. This is going about 30,000 RPM, and that overspun the old one and broke the impeller on the inside, which kind of went around and destroyed a bunch of stuff. But we got that rebuilt. It's a 250 amp alternator. This one is a stock one that actually works okay, but with everything on, it's only charging at like 11 volts and not for that long. All right, so I got the front all buttoned up. Now I'm moving on to the rear. So I want to make some changes in the rear and start playing with my wise fab kit, playing with spring rates, playing with kind of more setup or dialed in type settings on my wise fab kit. So today I'm actually swapping the springs to longer springs, which is also a recommendation from Davey Peoples, but he also wanted me to go down in spring rate. So now I'm using 200 millimeter 11K springs, and I'm moving up to a 250 millimeter 11K spring, just to see if I can feel the difference and droop and stuff like that on the track. And then maybe at the track I'll swap an 8K spring in and see how that feels. But it's not really a one-to-one comparison, because I swapped the front springs. So I went from 10 to 12K, and that's going to put more weight on the back. So it's not really a one-to-one comparison, but this stuff's got to get done. So I'm going to start here when I'm on the track next weekend. And you can see here the length difference, just 50 millimeters, about 2 inches. But what's interesting is with this spring, this is the 200 millimeter spring, the adjuster is all the way down. And it's kind of a short spring, but the adjuster is all the way down, and my car is really low right now because of that. I can't raise it up anymore because the adjuster is all the way down. So you have to go this adjuster, or is it has to go further down so that the car goes up, but the back's really low and the adjuster's maxed out, so I'm putting a longer spring in there. Interestingly though, the reason I put these springs in here in the first place is because the longer springs don't fit with both lock adjusters. They only fit with one lock adjuster. And if you look down here, my wise fab is actually against the knuckle there, so the arm's against the knuckle, so it doesn't droop any further than this. So this is the maximum height I can get right now with the longer spring in it, and I had to pull that secondary adjuster ring out to be able to fit the longer spring in the first place. So we'll see how this feels. So let me show you the difference of these two alternators. They look exactly the same, but there is a little difference. This is an OEM F-body alternator. I think it puts out 150 amps or something like that, maybe less. This is a Power Bastards 250 amp. You can see we have the stock pulley on here. We went to a bigger pulley because this imploded. Actually, we overspun it. And the fan on the back of this, if you look through the back there, you can see something moving. There's a fan back there. And on alternators that they use Chinese parts, that fan is plastic. And we slung it apart. They're really high RPM on the dyno. So we're going to slow this thing down. It was rebuilt with a metal impeller. I used this alternator rebuilder up in Cumming, Georgia. He knew a lot, and For a Power Bastards unit being so expensive and putting out 250 amps, there's a lot of Chinese parts in this thing, so I'm glad it's rebuilt with good parts now. But if I were to buy again, I wouldn't buy this one. So if you guys have been wondering how to change the oil on a dry sump engine, today's your lucky day because I got to change the oil in this thing, and it's not really like doing it in a regular engine. First things first, the oil's in that tank. So we're not going to start under the front of the car. We're going to drain it from the middle of the car. So we got to drain this tank out. You can actually, if you look real close, there's a bolt underneath it and there's a hole in the floor right there. It just drains straight down from there. But that's not all. We got to come over here. We got to drain this oil cooler out. There's a drain on the bottom of this oil cooler. Maybe we can see it there. Yep. Right there against my sway bar mount thing. And we got to drain the oil out of the oil cooler. That's pretty much it. Then we just fill the tank back up. So it's not really that bad, honestly, compared to a regular one. In fact, might even be better. We do have to change the filter, but I put the filter in a very convenient spot. Oil filter is right there, that big blue thing right on the engine plate. So that's pretty easy to change. So actually, not so bad. All right, guys. I think I came up with something super clever. Usually when I do these oil changes, I get oil all over the inside of the car. And it's not because the hole's in the wrong spot or the tank's offset or whatever. Actually, the drain in the tank is straight above the hole. But our oil tank has a breather on it, right there. Just a filter, goes to the top of the tank. This breather makes it so that the oil comes out at like light speed. I mean, it just flies out of there like you're shotgunning a beer. It's insane how fast it comes out, especially if it's hot. But because of that, I get oil on me, my hands, I get the plug in the drain pan, I get it all over the car, I have to wipe it down for 5 hours afterward. It's been really horrible, but today I have a solution. This right here is a pipe. It's a 2-inch pipe. If we go under here, I've stuck that pipe straight up to the oil drain. So in there is the plug, and now the oil should shoot right out of there. I'm probably going to lose the plug anyway, but hopefully the oil comes right through that pipe and into that drain pan. Let's see how this goes. You can laugh at me if it doesn't go very well, which is probably pretty likely. All right, finally, hopefully, maybe we have the right size here. Check the inside. We can't see anything, but just take my word for it. There's no oil. Okay, well, we got a lot of the maintenance done, but now we're heading over to Synchro Design Works to get an alignment, and then we got a little more maintenance to do, a little more things to do to pack up and things, but then we'll be ready for Fall Double Down this weekend. Trailer. All right, guys, well, we had a great weekend out here at Fall Double Down. We made a ton of changes to the car that made it so much better to drive. I mean, faster, more bite, more forward bite, more side bite, more everything, but easier to drive, so more consistent. And the first thing we did was we added a front sway bar. So if we look at this thing. You can see I kind of made these blades here and they attach to my struts. This made a huge difference. It's a bladed sway bar from like a NASCAR or something like that, or an off-road truck. but that made a huge difference with how the car felt and how much grip was transferred to the back. We also went with BCDS coilovers instead of the BRs. The digressive dampeners made a big difference. We went up to 12K from 10K on the front spring rate. We changed the dampening, and in the back, that's where things really got fun. Back here, we changed the rear springs to longer rear springs, but the same rate. But what made the biggest difference is I changed the clocking on the knuckles. So we took out a bunch of anti-squat because this thing was squatting like crazy yesterday. Took out a bunch of anti-squat, went down on the rear dampening back here, and that made the car an animal. Engine ran strong all weekend. I probably did about 20 laps this weekend, which is 20 more than I normally do. So the car's hooked up, driving well, engine did great, stayed cool, made power. I think it's actually getting faster as it breaks in. But man, this thing was great this weekend. I had a great time with all these guys down here with iTrack at Fall Double Down. And yeah, see you guys on the next one. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and I'll catch you then.